Eric Omondi, the self-confessed president of comedy in Africa, has had quite an adventurous journey. From reciting poetry to becoming an unofficial MC, the headline attraction on Churchill Live, starring in the show Wife material, establishing his own comedy show to performing at the Night of 1,000 Laughs, Eric has literally laughed his way to the top. Learn everything about him in this Eric Omondi biography. Eric Omondi was born on 9 March 1985 in Sai, Kenya. As of 2020, he is 37 years old. He was a student at Kondo Primary School and Kisumu Boys High School. He then went to Daystar University and studied mass communication and journalism. Eric was forced to drop out because he couldn't afford to pay the fees. Fortunately, he received a full scholarship after a successful application which allowed him to resume his studies and graduated in 2010. Eric Omondi is an award-winning comedian who has been flying the Kenyan flag high in the comedy industry. In 2020, African Entertainment Awards Awaso, USA, named Omondi the President of Comedy Africa Comedian of the Year for the third consecutive time. As a result of his growing status and influence, he has gained endorsement deals with several brands. Before all that, Eric Omondi had to take bold decisions and not just that, make the right ones. As with every successful individual who understands their craft, they will know the significance of proper timing. Eric Omondi nailed that to perfection. He chose to quit Churchill Show after 3 stellar seasons in which he was the headline act to pursue his dreams. It was a huge decision that took him a step closer to figuring out what he wanted. With Daniel Churchill and Mbuki's permission, Eric Omondi left the nest and proceeded to fend for himself. Despite the fact that making people laugh has always been one of his goals in life, Eric confesses that he also aspired to be a reporter. After all, he spent his years at Daystar University doing communication studies, part of which entailed news reporting. His stint in news reporting at Nation Media Group's television station and TV Kenya was short-lived. I worked as a reporter for TV for 2 weeks, did one piece, and then I got fired. It was a disaster. They said I wasn't good enough. Despite the shortcomings, he was already doing well in comedy. Close to a year after landing a gig on Churchill Live, Eric received the opportunity to have his own comedy show, Awaya, on KTN. Although the show brought more money and helped build a better profile for Eric Omondi, it was a brief thrill. The show was terminated after 1 season owing to low ratings. Despite the negative criticism, he was able to better understand his audience and develop more. His show on TV, Wife Material, was also short-lived. Omondi has had quite an adventurous journey, from reciting poetry to becoming an official MC. The headline attraction on Churchill Live, starring in the show Wife Material, establishing his own comedy show to performing at the Night of 1,000 Laughs. He's seemingly done everything there is in comedy. Recently, he premiered his new show Controversies, which he portrays the character of a woman. His new acting gig has captured lots of attention, with some people questioning his sexuality over his cross-dressing tendencies. Eric Omondi is the second born in a family of 4 siblings. He is the brother of Fred Omondi, who is also a comedian. His other siblings are younger sister Rose Omondi, the late Joseph Onairan Omondi, Irene Omondi, and Paladi Omondi. In addition, Eric Omondi lost his elder brother Joseph Onairan Omondi in 2018. Joseph had been a drug addict for over 19 years. Omondi's late father was a chief inspector and an outbox in Kisumu. His parents are deceased. Eric Omondi recently ended his relationship with his long-term Kenyan Italian lover Chantal Grazioli, nicknamed Miss Chanty, whom he met during the Kenya at 50 concert in Kasarani. Missing his better half, comedian Eric Omondi turned to social media to plead with Chantal Grazioli to return to Kenya. Unable to hold his emotions any longer, he requested his admirers to tag Miss Chanty, who was then in her hometown Italy, where she grew up. That was not his first romantic entanglement. Eric Omondi has been for a long while linked with former Citizen TV journalist Jackie Maribi. There were claims that both had a child together. Recently, Eric Omondi has been demanding a paternity test for the child. All that noted, Eric Omondi is presently single. Eric Omondi doesn't have a wife. The comedian says marriage is not a priority in his life right now. Speaking to a local publication, the father of one stated that he intends to have more children but is not interested in settling down yet. My family is my son and my mother, but I will have more children, he added. The self-proclaimed king of comedy is seemingly fighting with every other Kenyan artist. He seems to be attracting more enemies. His most recent is a war of words with Saudi Souls Bean and Holograph Jones. Tanzanian artist Diamond Platnumz was invited to perform at an Azimio event and was reportedly paid in the millions for less than 30 minutes of performance. Kenyans were by the fact that local artists were snubbed. In response, Eric Omondi stated that local artists are simply boring as they do not reveal a lot about their lifestyle and don't hype their every move. His comments didn't go down well with Bean and Holograph. They challenged his opinions and stated that they'd prefer to work with a government that's already in place as opposed to a political party for fear of losing corporate sponsorship. The two went ahead and challenged Eric to do what he was saying and not point fingers at the entertainers. Lately, Eric Omondi has been the talk of the town for his baby mama drama. Former journalist Jackie Maribi called the comedian out for not supporting his 7-year-old son. Eric denied the accusations and demanded a DNA test of the child. At the same time, he said that he would still support the child whether he is biologically his or not. Will Smith is Eric Omondi's favorite and inspirational role model because of his qualities and principles of being one of the most hilarious comedians. Eric's ambition is to follow in his footsteps, do comedy, and subsequently start an acting career. One of the lowest points in his established career was his arrest by the Kenya Film Classification Board (XABA) compliance officers in conjunction with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and detectives for violating the provisions of the Films and Stage Plays Act. Eric Omondi was arrested for producing and distributing unauthorized wife material of films contrary to the Act's provisions which, among others, prohibit the exhibition or broadcast of films without a certificate of approval from the regulator. This was not the only time Eric Omondi was at odds with XAB. Days after his arrest, his show Wife Material was suspended for airing obscene content. Eric apologized and vowed not to air the content of this nature. Folks, this is how much Eric Omondi is charging you to make your event. With the challenges posed by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the cancellation of gigs, Max and people who rely on earning from events experienced a financial dip. Recently, Eric Omondi posted a revised rate card. For gigs he will do with his shirt on, he's charging cash 500,000. For gigs he'll do bare-chested to take advantage of his newly sculpted body, he's taking nothing less than cash 750,000. This excited fans and fellow celebrities who posted humorous comments on his posts. The funny man rides in some of the best cars. He recently acquired a brand new Range Rover that reportedly cost cash 12 million. Apparently, the car is part of a brand endorsement deal, so after 12 months, he might return it to the dealers. He also revealed that his first car was a Toyota Allion, Nissan Bluebird, and a Mercedes-Benz. Eric Omondi just moved into his cash 141 million mansion in Karen. He refuted claims by naysayers that his lavish home was an airbnb. He stated that he had bought the house but could be used as an airbnb, at least until he moved in on October 19. Previously, Eric Omondi lived in Kailelashwell. Eric Omondi has made the most out of his career. He has been able to branch out of comedy and go into emceeing events, attracted endorsement deals and product advertisements on ALKs, started his own company and gotten into radio as well as TV. He is now ranked as one of Africa's most respected and lucrative comedians. Since he began comedy, Eric Omondi has amassed a sizable fortune. According to Wikipedia, Forbes, and various online resources, Eric Omondi's net worth falls between $1 million and $5 million. Eric Omondi is an award-winning comedian who has been flying the Kenyan flag high in the comedy industry. In 2020, African Entertainment Awards Owasso, USA, named Omondi the President of Comedy Africa Comedian of the Year for the third time in a row. Eric Omondi doesn't have a wife. He says marriage is not a priority in his life right now. Nevertheless, he intends to have more children but is not interested in settling down. Eric Omondi's net worth is believed to be $5 million. The famed comedian's fortune stems from his comedy shows, endorsement deals, the material he generates on YouTube, and his radio and television broadcasts.